This is Cindy Pressgraves with Real Estate Divorced Single Mom. And I know I didn't post last week. It's been a crazy week so far. I got my kids back from Puerto Rico. That's where I actually grew up. That's where my parents live. And that's where my kids spend this full summer. Keep in mind, I'm a single mom and their dad lives in Japan. He's military active duty. And, with this whole COVID stuff, he's unable to get them. So I just go ahead and take the advantage of sending them to Puerto Rico with my parents. I visit them once a month and have fun as much as I can. But now reality hits. Back to school, that daily schedule, 5:30 to 5:30 a.m. comes early in the morning. And you know what? It gets a little bit crazy now dealing with homework. My son, Armando, he's actually finally in second grade. My little one is in pre-K. They're really, really sweet. And I'm excited for this whole new school year because I'm trying to be more of a mommy, as I'm also staying on my professional side too, but I'm trying to, I picked them up at 5:00 because they're in extended, but at the same time, I'm just like between that 5:00 to 7:30 or 8:00, it's me and them time. So that means that's where I make them dinner. That's where I pack their snacks because they lunch at school. Okay. By the way, something that I actually learned for the first day of school, don't ever pack tuna to kids, especially if you're going to actually pack them in little bowls because they stink their lunch. Yeah, it is disgusting and horrible. So yeah, that's a mommy lesson that I learned. So I'm probably going to have to stick their new lunch boxes in the washer this weekend because it stinks. When I'm telling you it stinks, it's gross. I'm like, oh gosh, am I going to really have to buy them new lunch boxes if I can't get the smell out of there? So, all right. So mommy mistakes, I guess. I was so excited that I wanted to cook something. And you know what? I couldn't think about anything. Yes, peanut butter and jelly sandwich would be a go-to, but because of other kids with allergies like peanut and pine nuts, I decided not to do that. So I actually packed them tuna, broccoli, and a few fruits with this. Actually, fruits and veggies. My little one loves broccoli. And yeah, that was basically their first day of school lunch. And then I got the Go-Gurts. Okay. Another trick about this is if you have kids and if they're like mine, they love eating the Go-Gurt, I go ahead and freeze them because that way when I freeze them, they cannot eat it, which is awesome because my kids can go through a box of 32 like in a day. I kid you not. They can eat the whole box of Go-Gurts all day long. Those kids love yogurt like crazy. And because I was raised so my mom is Peruvian. My dad is Puerto Rican. I grew up in Puerto Rico my whole life, meaning from the age of six that I started there. I was raised there till I got married my first time to the age of 22. And then I married military. I've been married to military twice. Believe it or not, I have a thing for military guys. And I was raised there. I feel like I'm Puerto Rican, I'm Latina, and I'm very, very proud of that. And I can't remember where I was going to go with this, but anyways, just go with it, right? So it's really, really interesting how I basically try to incorporate, I try to transition from being a Latina to basically more Americanized, Southern style. Like if I told you one of my first things, when I was dating my second husband, the kid's dad, it's funny because he told me hey, you know what? I want dumplings. So when I heard about dumplings, and I know you guys are going to make fun of me, but I don't care. I thought it was like Asian dumplings, like wonton. Keep in mind, I come from a Peruvian background and Puerto Rican, and my mom raised me internationally as to we learned to make food from all over the place, all over the world. It wasn't only Peruvian, Puerto Rican, but oh gosh, I made the whole mistake of one night. He's like, hey, you know what? When he got home, he's like, what's that? I'm like, that's dumplings. No, chicken and dumplings. Believe me, I learned quick what chicken and dumplings was. And it was like so interesting because little by little, I'm married to a Southern boy. Well, he's from Georgia and Gainesville. And I learned so much because they eat so differently, and incorporating like, hey, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, mac and cheese. I grew up with rice and beans and sweet plantains and all that, which is amazing. And that for me was really, really interesting. All right. So it's been so interesting and like adaptation because as I grew up with Hispanic parents in Puerto Rico, and then when I come to the States, it's just like, so keep in mind, guys don't know this. So when I got married the first time, we moved from Puerto Rico to Alabama, Alabama to California, California to North Dakota. There I spent 10 years of my life. I always joke around like, I did 10 years. Yes, it was cold. What I'm telling you is cold. It was super cold. And it was really, really different. And over there, it's like steak and potatoes. Down here, it's like you get peach cobbler. You got different type of cobblers. You got that Southern hospitality. So it's so different, especially like I've learned so much that every state has its own type of food. They also have their own lingo. So it's really, really important. Like it's so interesting and how adaptation has been so simple for me, but it's learning about the culture. Like I love like fresh honey. I love like Georgia has so many things that they have so many things to offer, especially here in North Georgia. They actually have like the vineyards. They have this place called, so Chateau Alon is a really good winery. It's actually a high-end place, so you got to check it out. Chateau Alon. There's another winery. There's a lot of Monteluce is up in Dahlonega. Don't quote me on that, but check it out. There's Frogtown, I think. Frogtown, which is in like kind of like Cleveland. It's in White County. So there's like so many things that you're like, wow, there's a lot of things to do up here. And there is. Atlanta is not like the base hub of everything though. If you like to explore, believe me, it's amazing. I never thought in my life I would actually live in Gainesville, Georgia. So it's really interesting because I've actually learned so much and I've made so many good friends here. And incorporating like not only that, but it's most likely like getting to know people that have grown with a town. Like this other day, I was talking to this lady. Her name is Sandy, and her grandmother was one of the first women business owners. So I'll be bringing her up to the podcast, but it's a history. I mean, how long? Okay. So now like we don't value our history. We don't check out our background. And that is like, wow, that amazes me. Like there's this building, in Spring Street, and they do weddings there. They do so many things. And you know what? This venue was actually a building. It's 100-year-old building. And they have like bricks. The fireplace is made of stones from the Statue of Liberty. I think it's like the bricks or something, which is like, wow. I mean, that blows me away. And when was the last time that you went ahead and took a look of what you have? I mean, in your area. And that, I mean, learning about that for me is so much valuable because that means I'm learning from the community. But at the same time, where did it start? Where did everything start from the beginning? Was it developed? So yes, my kids go to Lakeview Academy. It's a private school here in Gainesville. It's a really good school. But at the same time, I've been meeting people that they've had their grandkids there. They've gone there. It's been for a long time. So, recently, Gainesville has a train and they actually moved it so it will be more accessible for people. And oh gosh, I mean, once I start bringing people to the podcast, you guys are going to understand and value that history. Like I'm all about history, but learning and educating people too. But it's like talking to your grandparents or talking about like what happened here, what happened there. That's amazing. And with my kids coming, like going, back to school, me integrating like more of Gainesville, Georgia into this podcast, I want you guys to learn of how important and where did Gainesville, Georgia came into. Cause I mean, it's funny because sometimes I talk to people and they say, you live in Gainesville. Wow, that's so far away. Okay, but did you know that Gainesville is actually having like an auditorium, like a music auditorium that actually fits 620 people? And they're having like a fine dining restaurant that is actually being developed. So Gainesville has come such a long way that it's no longer going to be saying like, wait, you live up there? Yeah, I love living up here because even though I'm 45 minutes from the airport. Okay, keep in mind the traffic sucks sometimes. But in this case, when I'm flexible. My job as a real estate agent, I can get to work wherever I want to. Look, I work in Auckworth. I work in Douglasville. I work in Savannah. Okay, let me talk about Savannah here. The reason I work in Savannah is because of my cousin. And that's the only reason I joined the board of realtors, because of her. That's it. But I will not, well, it depends on the price though. But anyways, it all depends. But in this case, I love learning about the communities. I love learning about the areas. And now switching this a little bit up to real estate, it is very important for you to get to know your surroundings, get to know your community, local business owners, interact with people that are in the community. When was the last time you actually did that? Have you found out like your local restaurants? Who are the business owners? What menu do they have? Where do they get their produce from? We have here J. Moore's Farms. A lot of people love J. Moore's Farms. There's this milk place in Claremont. And I keep on forgetting. I always forget their name. It's Creamery, and I cannot remember the name of it. Oh my gosh, I'm horrible. But it's like so interesting. Like, tell me, I want to know, like, tell me what you know about your area. When was the last time you went ahead and explored? There's even a sunflower farm. There's a lavender farm nearby. We've got Helen, Georgia. Okay, so it's known about because it's a German town. I mean, you can go tubing. There's more than just a German town and drinking and eating, but I mean, you can go tubing. There's so many things. Like you can go on trail walks. I went recently, well, a few months ago, went with my kids to, and I'm going to butcher the name. This is awful. Tallulah Falls. There's also, or Tallulah Falls. All right, this is awful. But anyways, so you got Tallulah Falls, you got the Stone Mountain. Stone Mountain has so much like it's more of a park, but at the same time they have like the big giant stone, which is really awesome, especially like in 4th of July, they like to throw fireworks. And I'm not so sure, but it's been a while since I've been there, but there is so much history. So I would say like whenever you're a real estate agent, always get to know your areas, get to know your surroundings. If you want to limit yourself, limit yourself. Oh, another thing, Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier is amazing. I love the lake. So I grew up in Puerto Rico, right? Me, this Latina chick, I never liked lakes. I mean, I grew up in like rivers, you know, we've had waterfalls, going inside the mountains, you know, walking into the trails and all that. But now, and in North Dakota, do you think I wanted to get into the lake? Oh, no. That was like cold, super cold. Did I ever tell you that North Dakota was like negative 81 degrees at times? I was like, run. No way. No. And I kid you not. But negative 81 degrees with wind chill. And the closest airport, yeah, it was like 5-10 minutes away. It was in town, but it only had no more than 5 gates. And I might be exaggerating, but I think it has like 4 gates or 3 gates. But they actually made it bigger though. I'm giving them credit. But if you wanted to travel internationally, you actually had to fly to Minnesota or drive to Minnesota, which was 8 hours. I don't miss those days. Plus, I mean, they also had the Bismarck Airport, which is pretty awesome. But if you really wanted to go real shopping, Mall of America in Minnesota. Or, you know what? Everybody's typical shopping place, online. Ta-da! Okay, so like I said, it's really, really important to get to know where you're at. But me growing Latina, getting to know the lake, I mean, I remember when I lived in California, we went to San Luis Obispo and those beaches were cold. Oh my gosh. I can't believe that. It was like super, super cold. And I'm like, never again. And there was big, giant, oh my gosh, sea lions. They were like giant, they were stinky. And I'm like, ew, gross. And they stink. And I'm like, and the water was cold. And I went kayaking. I remember we went on kayaking and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get back there because I compare these beaches with Puerto Rico. And that's my whole thing. I love the beaches, but the lake, especially when you took me California, North Dakota, oh no, I am not getting there. And you know what? People do get into the lake up there because it's a lake, especially in the summer. But I wouldn't. So now coming to Gainesville, now I get to know Lake Lanier. Lake Lanier used to be a city it used to be a city, which is really, really interesting. And I can't wait to hear more about it, about the history of it. So, but when you get into the water is warm because we're in the South and it's like, yay, that's worth it. So if you ever thinking of coming to Georgia, I would definitely say Lake Lanier is an amazing place to come to. Traveling, I do a lot of internationally traveling. Well, used to, but recently I was to Puerto Vallarta, which is really awesome. And I love the beaches and all that. But, and I would say in a typical, going back to Georgia, there's so many places of learning. And as a realtor, it is so important to learn your areas, local businesses. And that's my son popping up in the back. If you're looking at this video, but I say I love being a realtor and I love learning. And every day I learn more and more of this community, of the Gainesville community and the back to school whole thing as a single mom. Believe me, it is frustrating. Sometimes it's not easy. It is not easy, but I try to make it as fun as possible. Like I try to get my little monsters at 7:30 at night. And I know right now it's almost 9 o'clock and I have my 5-year-old that he does not want to go to bed. Looking back right now. But I would say just if you're a single mom like me or a single dad or a single parent, you know what? Hang in there. There's a lot to learn. It's fun. It's an adventure. And in my case, I end up always buying like little outfits of Spider-Man and Pokemon but it's having fun and creating and building memories with your kids. That's what it's most likely about. I mean, and you know what? The past week, when they came back, I was working a lot. Yes, because I had a lot of clients and a lot of showings and all that. And when you're a single mom and you have your kids, sometimes it's hard for me to get a babysitter last minute. Keep in mind, I don't have family here. So that's really like hard. And I'm like, you know what? And I'll tell my clients, look, I have to let you know that I'm bringing my kids with me. And they understand. So sometimes they'll be fine with it and these are clients that I've been working with for a while too. So just be upfront with your clients and they'll understand too. With your kids, that's a different story. Mine, I have to tell them, please be quiet and just put duct tape on them. No, I don't put duct tape on them just in case. But it's just like, I just tell them, my 7-year-old is very opinionated. And sometimes I have to tell them, please be quiet. Any comments or anything that you have, please keep them to yourself. And, you know, sometimes they do. And sometimes I tell them, just go away. Just go away. But like I said, real estate as a single mom, it's fun. And when you bring your kids, it's fun too, because sometimes you have the other client that have kids or they have a little dog. And that's pretty awesome too. So I just wanted to talk a little bit of everything on this episode with back to school, Puerto Rico, implementing, like learning about your community at the same time. And I guess my next episode, I'm going to be talking about divorce. I'll be bringing a divorce lawyer. She's locally here in Flowery Branch / Gainesville. And we're going to be talking about different topics about some, just because I've had a few friends, and I'll talk a little bit more about it now. I've had a few friends that they've been in toxic relationships, marriages. Some have been there for over 15 years. I have another friend that her husband just left up and and moved to another state. And she did not work on herself. She didn't finish college. She didn't have a job. She had been a stay-at-home mom for over probably 15 years. I had another friend that he basically was afraid of getting divorced because he was embarrassed of what every other person would say. So I would say I'm going to leave you guys with that. And like my page, Real Estate Divorced Single Mom on Facebook. I don't have an Instagram, but I do have a TikTok. You guys want to comment there? Please also comment my YouTube page, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. I want to hear your guys' opinion on all that on my next podcast. So this is Cindy Pressgraves with Real Estate Divorced Single Mom, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Have a wonderful day.